It's podcast time, everybody. We got a weird one tonight. We got 2 different times happening simultaneously. It's a certain time here. It's an hour different where Sam is, but somehow it's the same time where you are. Almost agreement at gmail.com. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to your favorite podcast provider. Like us, friend us, share us, follow us, text us to your friends. You can do support the show. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. April 14th, my mayoral debate is on. All 4 candidates have previously confirmed it. We'll see if that stays true come event date. I've got 2 that have confirmed my follow-up on it so far, but whatever. We'll find it out, and I'll talk shit about whoever doesn't show up. Yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff that happened in this week. The state is doing some interesting things like the state does. Anyway, we'll talk about that and some other stuff once this intro's out of the way and we'll go. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
What's new? What's exciting? What's happening with you?
Oh, not much.
Bullshit. That's just bullshit. Now you're just lying to me. Like, usually, like, it's funny and whatever, but, like, there's a reason why this time thing's weird, and you need to explain it.
Your trip out of town, see your friend?
I told you people I'd finally get him to answer my what's new, what's exciting. He took a trip out of town to deliver a table and hang out with a buddy, which is super fun, and I'm super happy for you. He is hanging out with a prior guest, our Mississippi River boatman, who may or may not chime in at some point during this, and I don't remember if we used his real name or not, so I'm going to not say his name. So let's start with some good news. You want to start with good news for once?
Yeah, why not?
City of Knoxville crime rates are in the basement.
I think I did see that. It's like there's no murders as to like year to date so far or something.
0 murders in the first quarter of 2026. Congratulations, 2026. You're kicking ass, taking names. The city of Knoxville hasn't had that since like the early aughts, I think is what they said.
Yeah, I can't remember.
The last time we have had the first 3 months of the years without a murder.
Now, is it city limits?
Yeah, I don't know if county does, but I mean the data is on city is from KPD, so it's what the city covers. I don't know if counties. I know a guy got stabbed downtown yesterday, but he didn't die, so there's no murder. But even that, though, to be fair, like if they as you go further down in the report, it's everything is down: robberies, aggravated assaults, attempted murders. So I don't know. I don't know what's in the water, what's going on right now. I mean, it's one of those, like, everybody is clamoring to take credit for it. Chief Noel, obviously, the mayor's office. Everybody's like, that's because of all the hard work we're doing. And it's like, Like, we have the nationwide that is trending down right now. Like, outside of, like, ICE agents killing people in Minnesota. Like, the murder rate.
It has been trending down some for the past, like, year or two.
Yeah, post-COVID. I mean, everything spiked during COVID, and it's been trending. Came back down and is trending down since post-COVID. So I don't know if COVID was like a reset for people's patience with the humanity around them or what. And so anyway, nonetheless, it's good news. It's exciting. Congratulations to all the people who aren't dead already this year. And so, who
thanks for living.
Historically, otherwise would be dead at this point. Yeah. So let's get into, I don't know. You want to talk about the Cabela Temple, or you want to talk about this really new, weird bill that's got some steam going on in the state legislature?
I haven't seen anything on the apartments.
The Cabela Temple thing?
I've seen a couple bills that apparently one, there was a congressperson ended up like saying shit or something like that in the General Assembly. I think that had to do with the 287G or whatever.
For shame.
It's the old classic where they talked about it and took questions on it for like 5 minutes, and then they pulled the old, can we call previous question, please? Okay. We're just not talking about it anymore. So there were a couple Democrats that spoke out of like, you guys don't even want to talk about this shit.
I mean, it's really kind of the only avenue you have at this point if you're one of those guys. I mean, I really do. Like, I don't like the Tennessee 3 thing from 2 years ago or whatever. Like,
yeah,
you don't like the system. The machine that is the state house is absolutely run by your opponents, and if they don't have to hear from you, they'll just call something here or make note of this there and then put it to bed, and then you don't get to talk anymore. Yep. Which, again, on a fundamental level, I don't necessarily disagree with the premise of having rules and regs in place for them to do things where it's like, we're not going to sit and talk about this for 6 hours. We're not going to let you sit and talk about this for 6 hours because we have the votes to get it passed. Let's move on. I kind of get that. It is, and I suppose it's a byproduct of such a partisan body that has been created that if the Republicans want to do it and they know they have the votes, they got the votes and they're moving on. I mean, that being said, they've had a number of things kind of fall apart. Last week we talked about a couple of the gay bills that didn't work out right. They keep trying. Like there's 4 different bills now in the state house that include the immigration documentation for public school students, and up to and including the amendment to Governor Lee's bill to double the vouchers.
I think they passed the trans one. It was requiring, I guess, places to report on any kind of transgender patients, like medical service. I see that.
I've heard. I don't know if you know if I heard the outline of this previously, but they're because the other one with the voucher one is there's also a charter one that they're trying to do where apparently there are some faith-based universities and or colleges whom are wanting to have a K through 12 charter school attached to them, which now by law they can't do full stop. This bill would let them do it, even though it would have to be under the current law, which means it has to be a secular education program for the K through 12. But it'll let them do a charter school, which I don't really have a problem with that per se. If Crown College wants to do a charter school that isn't faith-based, which I don't think they would want to, I just think this is one of those that it's kind of cleaning up a mess over here that when the other stuff gets through where they let faith-based charter schools exist, they don't have to then go, it's like, oh, well, we want to do it, but we have this other weird little sticky one that won't let us do it, so fix that too. I think that's what that one's about. But what else have you found the one you're looking for?
No, not yet.
Okay. So yeah, the new one.
A list for
go ahead.
Makes a list for 100 most livable small to mid-sized cities.
Oh yeah, Knoxville made the list.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Oh, and there was a mayor candidates forum. I guess I think it was
League of Women Voters.
Farragut West Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, it was. Betsy didn't show.
Well, they quoted her a couple times. I think all of them were there.
The other one, I mean, the one that I know happened this past week, Betsy wasn't at. It was just Kim Larson and Bo. First time Bo showed up to one.
Maybe she didn't make it. Maybe they just had like a campaign thing from her.
Yeah,
her priorities or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she's still doing. I mean, nothing's changed with her campaigning. She's like every forum or public speaking engagement where Larson or Kim doesn't respond to a tax type question with the immediate "No, I'm not going to raise taxes." She's been pulling those clips out and running them all over her Facebook and stuff like that. I mean, that's the core. Like that is
the quote was that generic, like I'm pro freedom and anti-tax.
I mean, yeah, that is the Betsy campaign. And I still haven't messaged them to get an answer on what red tape they think they can remove for Knox County businesses to make Knox County more attractive.
Yeah,
because I can't stop thinking about that part. Like I cannot stop thinking about that. The majority of the red tape that I deal with is state, and then there's some city stuff, which Bay County might have an equivalent to, but even that, most of that stuff's like building code stuff. It's not my ability to do what I want to do as far as the job. Like I'm going back and forth with the city right now with this patio use agreement thing where we put the patio on the front with the sidewalk and this whole big thing, and it's a pain in the. I'm not happy with it. It is that bureaucratic mess that everybody complains about. I don't know that there's a county equivalent to that. I really, I don't know that because I haven't experienced it. And so almostagreement@gmail.com, if you own a business that's in Knox County that has to deal with Knox County bureaucracy, I'd like to hear more about it. I really don't know what that is. Because I could be completely off base here. It could be weird and complicated and even worse than the city stuff. I just don't know that it is because all the businesses are in the city limits anyway.
Right.
If it was that much easier or cheaper or whatever, maybe not a small business like me, but if I'm in the position where I can buy property and build a new building for my business, and it's so much easier and more attractive financially, then I would absolutely be doing it in the county. I mean, I guess it's not as viable because you don't have the population, I guess. I don't know. But that part doesn't change whether the red tape's there or not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
we were saying, we're pretty sure it should be almost identical kind of regulations anyway.
I'm just, like I'm saying, I'm trying to think of what would be on them because it's building standards and stuff like that, or that unified international code or whatever.
Right.
You got ADA compliance and some of the different stuff like that. That's federal government stuff. Your business license is with the county or the city, but all of your licensing and permitting, as far as your liquor license is a state license, your beer permit is a county license. If you're in the city, the beer permit is a city license. For me, the hemp permit is a state license. All my Department of Revenue stuff is the state of Tennessee stuff as far as tax collection and revocation and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, because theoretically I'm in county too, and the only thing that I deal that's exclusively a county government thing is the trustee's office with my property tax assessments. And that's formulaic at best, and that's based off the tax rate set forth by the commission and the mayor's office. So, and plus that's a separate elected office. And so there's not a lot, the commission and the mayor's office don't oversee the trustee's office. Now, the commission, I believe, can do an ordinance that would impact the way the trustee's office would do stuff, or the property assessor's office does their assessments and stuff like that. There is some stuff that I think the county government can do that would affect their work, but at the end of the day, they're elected officials. They answer to the people, and for the most part, they answer to the state law, not ordinance.
Right.
And so, again, the commission and the mayor's office can't do a lot in that department. So I don't know. Again, I am wide open to the idea that I am completely wrong and I am missing something on this one because I haven't experienced it.
It's fine. It was the House headline is House passed legislation that would compile data on transgender patients seeking gender affirming care.
Adults or children?
It just says patients. Let me see if it gives the full story.
I mean, this one we've talked about. I mean, just the trans issue in general we've talked about before. Again, if you're a consenting adult, I don't care, and it's absolutely none of my business. Now, could I get behind the argument that it's not HIPAA protected? Maybe. But I would like to hear the argument for why you feel like it's your business as the state of Tennessee if I wanted to get my dick cut off. Do I have to register tattoos with the state?
It doesn't specify if it's just adults. I'd like to think it's just adults, but
I'm just saying, though. You know what I'm saying, though? It's it's none of your business. It's none of anybody's business.
Right.
If I want to get tattoos or I want to dye my hair a funky color, do I have to get permission from the state, or is there a database that the state keeps on people who dye their hair? I could kind of see them wanting to do it because they want to track down these, blue-haired liberal crazies.
Right. So it's not supposed to have personal identifying things like your name, social security number, or geographical location. But
I mean, okay.
So there's many people that oppose it, say that it's going to be pretty easy to deduce and find people.
Right, work that backwards and figure it out. But to be fair, though, that now that you say that part, it kind of does open the door to, this is a hot topic and a lot of people are arguing about it and stuff like that. Would it be worthwhile to understand what percentage of our population is actually affected by these kind of laws, or has want for these kind of things, or I don't know. Maybe that's not the worst thing ever. Yeah, I mean, I still think it's dumb and it's nobody's business.
Yeah, I don't see much use behind it.
Yeah, I'm trying to give it at least a little bit of a devil's advocate argument of like, if we're going to say that this is an important issue and that we're fighting about it and we're talking about passing laws that affect people, it might be worth knowing how many people that is. Maybe.
And they mentioned in 2023, I guess, when the Attorney General was able to get information from Vanderbilt on the place that was, I guess, doing some services there.
Yeah.
Poor Vandy was like, we don't want that smoke no more. We're done. We're not going to do it anymore.
Which I don't know. I'm sure Vandy gets some state funding, but they're not they're a private university. I wouldn't assume there's a huge amount of at least financial power the state has over them. But
I'm sure there's something that the state could throw some weight behind.
Yeah, and I think that's the trick that governments have been playing for a long time is they figure out how to get.
So we're like, oh, you have a nice law school. Like, yeah, well, maybe we'll reconsider, bringing in your undergrads to, clerk with. Or
I don't even know about maybe, but I think the bigger threat is like you have grants or research facilities that do this stuff and that money flow. Like even federal money flows through the state, and so we're gonna.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like if you're gonna, which I guess at the same time, it's like if you're gonna suck the federal teat, you might as well, you gotta own up to the thing that the federal's doing. And if the state is the administrator of the federal grant money, then you got to suck that teat too. That's a choice that you had to do. Now, to be fair, a lot of the kind of research that these different universities are doing aren't going to get funded privately, and so you've got a delicate balancing act, I suppose, would be the polite way to say it.
Yeah.
So the big one in the State House that just kind of came out this week, and it is making it has traction to pass, that the state wants to mandate that all elections in the state, local, city, county, federal, all move to even years.
Huh.
So our city of Knoxville elections.
What's the logic behind it is?
I mean, voter turnout would be the biggest logic. It's also a cost savings, which is fair, because the municipality holding the elections does pay into the election commission to administer the election. Like but
it's not making elections less frequent, is it? I mean, how's it changing? I guess the general timeline. Frequency, I guess.
It was just moving. It's it'll be the transition will be kind of wonky, but once the transition happens, then it's just every 4 years we elect mayors and city council and all that kind of stuff. But it'll be on even years, and so it'll be on the same ballot that we're doing county commission and judges and and the locals would have the ability to place it in that year how they want to. They could match it because how county is May primary, August general, and then the statewide and federal races are August general, November, or August primary, November general. So if this shift happens, the city can say, well, we're going to match the county with the May, August, or we're going to match the federal with the August, November. Now, the politics of it, I mean, it does open some doors. I don't know. I'm not sure what it would do. Because the other one that's kind of in there that's not as there's an amendment on it that doesn't look like it's going anywhere that would also force local governments to have partisan races. The question is, does the state house full of Republicans think that this will get more local governments to be voting for Republicans? Because Republicans aren't coming out to city races. They're only coming out to county races. That's at least what the data shows from our turnouts. Because even, as a percentage of the votable population, countywide races pull more percentage, even though they pull more real numbers because there's more people, but they also pull a higher percentage of the eligible voters. Because there's big ticket, because we've got federal races, you got Timmy Burchett's race on there, or you've got the president's race on there, and you got that stuff, even though they don't line up. At least the countywide general races in August line up with state and federal primaries, which does bring some weight and bring more people out, and there's more attention, and there's more news coverage, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more, and the city just doesn't, the city doesn't match that by the numbers. And so
I guess I can kind of see that.
I think that my theory on it, at least, I haven't talked to anybody specifically, but my theory on it, at least, is that it's an attempt to use the power of the even year races that brings more voters out, who, at least in Knox County, for example, the larger turnout countywide races vote Republican. And so there's my thought is that is part one of their thing, is to try to do that. And it would be cost savings. It's going to increase. It's going to increase the numbers of what would be, people that just go for the county and local stuff. Right.
I think total number on average, I don't think that's going to go up.
Agreed. Agreed. But again, it's saying, where you have a county mayor that's, what do we say, the Helsley Jacobs race, it was a total of like 30-something thousand, 40,000. I mean, I don't think Kincannon's last race came anywhere near that. And so the thought is, like Mayor Jacobs got 24,000 of the 40,000 votes, something like that, right? Well, if Mayor Jacobs is on the ballot and the city mayor's on the ballot at the same time, the theory would be that about the same percentage partisan-wise would come out. And so it's like, well, if you're a city resident and you're voting for your county and your city races at the same time, more Republicans are voting in the county-wide races, so more Republicans will show up for these city races, and maybe some more Republicans will win city seats.
Yeah.
Or the city mayor's office or whatever. That's conjecture at best on my part, but that's the logical end.
Right, sounds pretty logical on their end.
And honestly, on
the aim,
and if it turns out, if it turns more people out to vote for all these different offices, that's not a bad thing. Like I can't say I'm upset by that. I am
more voter engagement on some of the lesser races that may not have as much people actually go in and voice their opinion.
But then come 2030, if you remember our 2022 cycle, where we had like 1 million judges and a bunch of weird offices that are like, there's a bunch of 8-year cycle ones that hit on 2022, if you remember that.
Vaguely, yeah.
And so it was a huge, it was like a literal 3-page ballot. And then add a whole another page of city ballots on it for those people who are districted as such.
Right.
And it's like, think about, like primary season, and when we were trying to get through the primary part and trying to cover, like, as the, the quality journalist that I am, trying to cover all these candidates and get a real idea for who all these candidates are in time to get it out in front of the people, and the people have a chance to make an informed decision on it. Like, it concerns, like, it's a plus minus on that one to me. Like, it's like, well, then we at least could take a year off as journalists from having to cover an election, because, since I started working with the Compass guys, like, that's always the joke once it gets to election day. Like, election week, we always jokingly say we're not talking about elections for at least a week, even though we've already been talking about the elections that are happening next year for months leading up to the elections that aren't happening. There's an election happening right now, but we've been talking about the elections that are happening next year, as well as the ones that are happening now for the last 2 months. We take a week off. We're not talking about elections for a week. But then mid-November, we're back on cycle for the next election cycle. Because that's the way it is locally. I mean, it just is. It's who's running, who's already talking about running, who's already starting campaigning, like literally campaigning, even though the petitions aren't even out to get picked up yet. And so,
right, but people have already put their names out there and said that they
have already started talking about it. And so the really fun weird one is the compromise on how to make this transition. It would really, really screw some things up, because basically it says everybody gets a bonus year.
Yeah.
So Kincannon, for example, who should be on the ballot next year in 27, won't be on the ballot until 28, because we're just going to skip the 27 year and just go from there.
So is she going to break the record for longest serving Knoxville mayor?
I don't know.
She gets an extra year.
I don't know what the history is, but the current charter has an 8-year max on any city held office. Like it's explicitly 8 years max.
Weird if she would be required to like step away for that last year.
I mean, I don't know. It would be an interesting conundrum, and so, I don't know what the solution, I don't know, we don't know. We'll see if this thing gets through and stuff like that, and then what the city is going to do in reaction to it. Because at the end of the day, state law supersedes, and so even though the charter says you can't be mayor for 9 years, state law says there is no election this year. You can either have no mayor for a year, or you have the one you already had. And so
wild west for a year. Nobody's in charge.
And so I don't know. Like it's. I'm not necessarily upset. Like I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. Like I can understand the political motivations for why the Republicans think this is a good idea, both in the honest version of why it's a good idea, as well as the cynical version of why Republicans think it's a good idea. Like right. I think it is a good idea. I think there are good ideas, or like on the pros and cons list. In reality, I think having a year where we don't have elections, so that we have a real big election and we have more engagement, more turnout, more involvement in an election cycle, is probably a good thing for governance. Truly.
Right.
But then the cynical part of it is, if the idea being that this might manipulate a little bit to get more Republicans elected, I guess, I don't know. We'll see. I think we've got to. I think this year specifically is going to be a very non-standard year. I think we're going to have a lot of Democrats winning seats that wouldn't otherwise. Like, I don't think this Bo guy is going to win the mayor's race. Don't get me wrong, but I think with all that's going on right now, and I don't know, you just did a road trip. I don't know how much you spent on gas to drive as far as you drove, but I mean, I just filled up and it was almost $80.
Gas here is about the same price as it is there, but it's one of those states that is pretty much like most in the area.
I would say, like, I've been like I haven't been paying super tight attention, but like I was generally under right at $50. Like if I really was running on fumes when I pulled up the gas station, I might have hit $50 a month ago, 2 months ago.
Oh, really?
And so I'm up, almost 100%. I've always doubled. Like my average was in the mid 40s, and I just filled up for like $77, $78.
So it was close to like 40 to fill up my tank, and I think I was like maybe down to a quarter. Not sure. I also got like 100% gas, so it was like a 10 or 15 cents extra compared to what base 87 was.
Yeah, I don't like. I mean, this is like, this whole thing. Like, I think we've talked about it a million times. I think people vote the economy, and I can't figure out how we're not about to run into a recession.
Just believe the man in charge, and it's really not as bad. I mean, they're pretty much doing what the Democrats did, 2 and 3 years ago. Like, the economy's doing great, or GDP is this,
right? And what was the electoral
stock markets are at this?
What was the electoral result of that strategy?
I mean, outside of the presidency, I don't think it was a huge. And as much as Republicans want to say the last presidential was a landslide, it was still damn near 48 to 49%.
I mean, it was a popular election vote win by a Republican president. That is a landslide on Republican side.
Right, but it's still less than 50% of the populace actually voted for him.
Right. But
comparatively, and with our take-all electoral college system, it looks a little wonky. But if you look just at the popular vote, the numbers weren't far apart. I think. Or compared to like other races, it was tighter than some other like previous elections as far as popular vote compared to the other candidate. I don't know.
I don't think it's a winning strategy. I don't think we got an F-14 or an F-17 or whatever it was got shot out of the sky yesterday.
I think like this morning.
Yeah.
I think I just saw like an A-10 Warthog. I think got shot down as well.
And so like we're already in double digits of deaths of American service members. We're in triple digits of injuries or wounded, I guess. What do they call it? It's not wounded. Anyway, you know, and gas prices are going up, and the stock market's starting to come down. Bond yield, that's the big one that Trump cares about. The bonds are getting expensive, which when we run a country on massive debt, the cost of debt is a big fucking deal.
Other countries are selling off our bonds.
Yeah, I mean this. I think
we're not seen as a safe market as we once were.
Yeah, I truly believe that this. I mean, I think I don't know. I think we have maintained a facade of the world empire for most of your and my lifetime. I don't know that we actually ever really truly were, but I think the emperor has no clothes is in full play right now, and the world is reacting. The world's reacting, and they're making adjustments and changes. And it's not that we're not going to be a powerful, rich country, you know, after this Trump guy gets out of office, whether it's because he terms out or he runs again and somehow gets elected again and dies in office or whatever the fuck happens. When any sense of quote unquote normalcy comes back, which I don't think that's ever, I don't know that's ever going to happen anyway, but we're going to come out the other side of whatever's going on right now as not the unipolar master of the planet. Because in reality, we never really were, but man, we could play that role really well. And we played that role really well since like the 80s. Well, the 50s really, but we really like hardcore.
Done well in like certain areas. I mean, tech is generally a little bit more Asian. I mean, we've had a couple like major, you know, Microsoft and Apple are headquartered here, but you know, we started moving a lot of our manufacturing. So some of our big kind of like manufacturing companies weren't as big of a powerhouse.
Yeah. I mean, because we can't, like, we're like, you know, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, we've got to be a better partner when we're doing stuff. You know, it's like a world market's not a bad thing. I mean, it is and it isn't. Like, you know, like right now is one of the examples of when world markets is a bad thing. Like, we are theoretically energy independent on gas and oil and stuff like that. We are a net exporter. But, you know, oil is traded on the world market. And whether, you know, there's some stuff we could do. We could do export bans and some other different things to try to keep the price of gas down. But at the end of the day, it's a world market. Like, you're going to tell some Houston oil refinery that they have to sell their oil at $80 a barrel, $75 a barrel for domestic use. And they're not allowed to export it for $150, $200 a barrel or whatever we're getting to now.
Right.
Like, that's, you know, they'll start figuring out ways to do it anyway. And then it gets real wonky and things get real gross and stuff like that. It's a world market. And
I mean, unless the government's going to subsidize, you know, the difference in price for like, you know, American petroleum companies per barrel or whatever. Yeah. Like you said, it's a world commodity. They're going to keep it at the same price that it is for the rest of the world. Yeah.
And so there's no way around that, and you know that is one of the downsides of being such a world market. You know,
honestly, I've heard it somewhere as far as like I think a lot of ours is like oil shale. It's kind of like a slightly different. It's not like I guess what they call heavy crude. But as far as like what products come out of the different ones, I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
there's
well, like apparently
a plethora of petroleum products.
Like we export a lot of natural gas, or we don't export like barely any natural gas because we never built the refineries to liquefy it. So you hear LNG on the world market all the time,
right?
Like the U.S.
It takes like super. I think it's one thing I've heard that's like affected with this excursion that we're doing. That like. One of the other Middle Eastern countries is
it's like
the producer of like helium, which is used in supercooling the natural gas to liquefy it.
Right, or that's what MRI machines run on.
Yeah, I think you might mention that too.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, and so like, but it'd be or like, what's it? I think it's Qatar and Iran share the largest natural gas field in the world. And Qatar can't export theirs either right now, and so it's like it's a mess. And so and but again, it's like I don't know, like if you're not even, you know, I mean, if you're like, I don't know, Liechtenstein or something, like some rando country in Europe that's been part of this big system forever, and it's like, okay, now it's time to redeal this, and we got to figure out how to do this differently.
Right. Trump says, I just got to come get it if I want it.
You know, whether it's like huge investments in nuclear energy or huge investments in renewables or whatever it is, you're like, which is the other thing that we're going backwards on. Like, we're literally like, we're going to fuck up the entire world market on fossil fuels and divest everything we've been doing over the last couple decades into renewables locally.
Right.
And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense. Like, anyway, I don't know how we got on this.
Just trying to vilify renewables. Just trying to convince everybody they don't work.
Fine, whatever.
I think other people have proved that they have.
But I mean, at the end of the day,
if you look at it regulation-wise, it's a shorter time frame to build any kind of plant, and I think like per kilowatt produced, it's still cheaper.
Yeah, well, because the only thing, and you could take that, and the only thing that's holding our economy, or at least the stock market part of our economy, the part of our economy that Trump cares about, the only thing that's really holding it in the positive right now is data centers and AI.
Right.
And
big tech companies. Yeah.
And both of the data centers it's a power conversation. That's all that matters. Like part of the reason that Iran is so good, like, I mean, like, it's kind of impressive. You got to tip your hat a little bit to Iran in this little mess, because they are being very pinpoint and very accurate and very intentional with their targeting. Because they hit an Amazon data center in Saudi Arabia this week.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And why does Amazon have a giant data center in Saudi Arabia? Because they have giant
production, right?
Because they have giant LNG plants that produce gajillions of kilowatt hours or whatever it is, and so it's like dirt cheap.
Yeah,
power.
It was one of the countries that they bombed, like their natural gas fields. Apparently, like, it's basically like set them back at least like a year or two. Where, even if the war stopped now, it's going to take them a year or two to like get all the facilities back online to where they can start cranking that stuff out to be able to sell it again.
100%. And that's just it. Like, and if you're anybody, like, I mean, like, if you're the Germans right now, you've got this whole, like, I don't know who blew up the pipeline. And we can go back into that conspiracy theory for a little bit if you want to, but, that whole pipeline and Russian natural gas and all that kind of stuff that was going on that the Ukraine war fucked up. And now you've got you're no longer able to ship it. So you lost your pipeline, and now you have lost your ability to ship it in. If you're the German chancellor or whatever their presidential title is over there right now, you're sitting there going, how do we get to a point where we don't need any of these people?
Right.
If you're Germany, France, Poland, the Scandinavian countries, how do we do this without having any reliance on?
Yeah, because Germany started going away from coal like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They had some nuclear, and I think they started stepping away from their nuclear.
Yeah, they shut a handful down, and right before the Ukraine war started. And it was like, well, I wish we still had those online. But, it's
for the past little bit, natural gas has been cheaper kind of worldwide. It hasn't been super expensive product.
I would say, like all that says to me is, like, how do we do this without? Like, I'm good with NATO falling apart. Don't get me wrong. I think NATO's...
Even not like natural resources. I've heard some people talk about all the investments that, the Middle East has gotten over the past, 10, 15 years. Like, a lot of companies are investing places there, like, outside of any kind of natural resource, because they were always seen as like a safe place. The UAE and, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but you go the other way is you've got the Saudis that have invested billions into the U.S. economy on the understanding that our billions of dollars go to you keep us safe, and we're failing at that. We're in a. I mean, like, Eldest was talking to me about, like, like, he didn't say it like in a weird, like, scared way, but it's like, you think they'll do the draft again? I was like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'll go back to the joke. I think it was last week's show that I made. I was like, I'm going to put some heroin in your pocket and send you in the city county building and get you arrested for a heroin possession charge, so they can't draft you.
Sure, you could figure something else out to be less.
Oh, whatever. I don't care.
Not a hardcore felony.
Something to get him out of going to war. That's fine with me. I'll take the burn sport, the bone spurs.
That's what I was about to say. Tell him he's got a bone spur. Pay off a doctor to like, hey, put this in his report.
Maybe that. Maybe that's what. Maybe we need to get AC. Maybe we need to talk to AC about who he knows that we can have one of those.
Who's a sketchy doctor that you?
Yeah, what's the sketchiest doctor you know? I need a prescription.
It's prone to bribes.
I just thought, but again, it's how do I answer that question as a dad? Are you going to get drafted? Probably not.
Logically, I think.
Probably not. Probably not going to get drafted. But it's
as big of a conflict as Afghanistan and Iraq were, I don't think we ever came close to needing to institute a draft.
Yeah, but we also had a different idiot, but not the same type of idiot. I don't know that I like.
Right, but as far as a big conflict where we had a decent number of troops on the ground in, both countries, either at the same time for part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just saying, I don't know. Just as a parent, it's this is going to be a thing, and his friends are going to go. He's going to have friends that go.
Yeah, possibly.
Because it's not going to be over by the time he graduates, by the time he turns 18. There's no way. There's no off-ramp here, because the fun part to me is, I actually, I'm on board with Iran's demands. They all make 100% perfect sense to me. You remove all, and I agree with, I agreed with a lot of them before this even started. Remove all your military bases from the region. Check.
Is that one of their demands?
Yeah, that's one of their demands. Remove all your military bases, release all your sanctions. I can't remember. There's a couple of different ones. Because, again, if you're Iran right now, all you care about is not having to do this again next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Can we be done with this thing where we're this pariah that you get to just poke at randomly? We're done. It's kind of my joke about there's the U.S. Israeli relationships, some little skinny kid with their buddy Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's always standing behind him, so the little skinny kid likes to punch people. And people don't punch him back because Mike Tyson's right there. Well, at some point, you don't care if Mike Tyson's right there anymore. You punch him back. And that's how that is my analogy for what's going on right now. I don't care anymore. I don't care if you punch me, Mike Tyson. I don't care if you beat the shit out of me. I don't care if you bomb us back into the Stone Age. I can't keep just...
You may beat me up, but you're probably not going to kill me.
Right.
I'll be bruised for a while.
But I can't just keep letting your little punk friend punch me in the face anymore. I just can't do it. I'm done. And that's where we're at. And that's what's happening. And for Iran's sake, they're super smart. They're super smart at what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They've had decades and decades of time to prepare for this. And they're doing it exactly right. The one thing that the only, I hate to say this out loud or whatever, but the only thing that I think that would change the calculation is doing the one thing that nobody wants to happen, which would be a real, true, Normandy ground invasion. Because Trump doesn't want to do it, and again, Iran knows this. Trump doesn't want to do it. None of the commanders of the armed forces want to do it. Nobody wants to go and try to occupy Iran.
Right. And
Iran knows it. And so, which is the scary part, because you go up the escalation ladder, and that's where you are. At some point, it is the logical answer to the Trump administration. I have no choice. This is the only way we change the calculation, because this is the only thing that we can do to meet our objective. Which I still don't know what our objective is.
This isn't about regime change, but if it happens, that'd be a good thing.
It's not about anything. That's the thing that drives me crazy. Well, it is. It's about one thing. And I don't want to. I'm hesitant to say that part out loud. But it's not about anything. What are our objectives? What have you heard our objectives are?
We're trying to take out their missile capabilities to threaten surrounding areas, our supposed allies, or at least confidants. They don't want them to have anything close to a nuclear weapons program. I'm not even sure how much we're okay with them having nuclear power.
We're not. Long and short of it.
Yeah, the byproduct of that is essentially, it's materials that can be refined, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Upscaled. I can't think of the proper word for
it. Power plant waste is easy. Power plant waste can be cleaned up and turned into weapons.
Enriched. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, which again, I don't know. I don't know. Like, would a nuclear armed Iran be the worst thing in the world? Do you think they would nuke Israel?
I mean, I'm more worried about North Korea and their nukes. That was the argument years ago. We're basically telling North Korea that, like, hey, you can't have those. Us and our other 5 or 6 buddies can have it because we're quote unquote good people. But
right,
we think you're a bad person. You can't have that.
Right. I'm more worried. I'm most worried about Israel's nukes, but 6 or half dozen, I guess. They don't officially have them. I don't think by U.S. diplomacy standards.
And India and Pakistan both have them, and they've been kind of
they fight a lot.
Soft war.
Yeah, for decades. Like, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. Like, well, the funny thing is the oldest was coming back from school, and they were talking about whatever. They were talking about different war stuff, like whatever. It's like they had a substitute older guy, apparently like 65, 70 years old. So his dad was a bomber pilot in World War II. And this guy, this sub was telling stories about his dad being a World War II pilot. And so he fought in Europe, and then he fought in Asia, and he was he apparently his crew was on the list of potential planes to carry Fat Boy or little what was the other one? Big boy and Fat Man,
something like that.
And so they were on the list. So there was like 15 crews or whatever that were selected, and his crew was one of those 15 crews. His grandfather's crew was one of those 15 crews or whatever. And so, like he said, the guy was telling the class the story or whatever. He said, it's like what was interesting is my grandpa was talking about how, or dad or whatever was talking about how the bombing runs that they did over Berlin did more damage than either of the nuclear bombs did.
We did more damage with just fire bombs in Japan. Yeah. We did more destruction because a lot of just the wooden structures basically
would burn. We also bombed we had bat bombs. That was a cool one. Have you ever seen that little random technology story?
I don't think so.
It was basically a bomb that had like a bat colony in it, and each of the bats had a little basically napalm canister that was kind of strapped to their chest. And so they dropped the bomb, and at a certain altitude or whatever, a parachute would open up, and the cells would open up that these bats are in, and then they would fly out, and they would go land in the rafters and stuff of whatever buildings they could find. And then whatever the incendiary would go off and start the building on fire.
Never heard that.
Yeah, pretty neat, pretty genius. Kublai Khan, not Genghis, but Kublai Khan, when he was sacking some city, he did that with some birds. I can't remember what the bird was. It's like a little just took they captured 100 birds or 1,000 birds, and they strapped some sort of incendiary device to them, and they would go and they would release them outside the city, and the birds would go fly into the city and land on the rooftops and stuff like that, and drop whatever the thing is and start the city on fire. I guess old school shit.
Yeah.
That's catapulting plague guys over the walls and shit style. Anyway, back to local news. Crime's down. Voucher charter bills in the State House. The weird city election thing was discussed. The Kerbella Temple down on the south side. Have you seen that story at all?
Now, when I was looking for that other story, I did see that I guess they were looking at selling it to a developer.
Already sold.
Okay.
Apparently, Kerbella's been trying to sell it, or the Shriners, rather, have been trying to sell it for years, and they finally sold it. So the developer that bought it...
in a little funky spot. If I wanted to get to the temple, I'm not sure if I could figure it out.
There's a couple ways to get there. You can't cross Gay Street Bridge anyway, so that doesn't matter.
Right. But
I don't know. It's supposed to be a 200-something unit apartment complex is their plan. It's active seniors is what their target audience is, which I fucking hate that shit. Because all that's code. All that is code.
Growing demand of it.
There is, but what it is it's code for approve what we're trying to do, because it's not going to. Active seniors don't have a negative impact on municipal budgets. So everything that's done on the south side of the river is either student-oriented for UT or any other development any other development that happens around town is we're targeting seniors, active seniors, because active seniors don't have kids, so they don't impact the school system. And so things that cost the municipality money when a large development comes in, they're promising aren't going to happen. That was the one over here on North Shore. There was going to be like 500 units tucked way back there off of the little curve. You know what I'm talking about? The little S-turn right there on North Shore.
Yeah.
And then that one half of the S-turn, you can take if you're going from...
oh, yeah, there's one right there. Yeah, there's one already there.
No, that's right. Where that senior living center is, if you turn left on that street, or if you turn on that street that's right on the side of it and go back in there, there's a developer that had bought like acres back there. It was going to put a big, not quite the Belltown thing up in towards Clinton style thing, but it was going to be one of those where like the front half of it was going to be an apartment complex, and as you got deeper in, it was going to get less dense and less dense and more expensive and more expensive. But their whole pitch was, this is only for, this is active senior living. So these people aren't going to be driving around a lot, so you don't have to worry about, upgrading the infrastructure to keep up with. These people
have golf carts and side by sides.
Right. These people aren't going to have kids in the school system, so you don't have to worry about, the residents here aren't going to overcrowd your schools. They're not going to clog up the roadways. It's going to be a very low key, chill place. And so the moral of the story is, if any developer that says this is targeted at senior or targeted at UT students, that's really them just screaming, "Don't stop this," even though we know it's going to affect these things. But when we say it this way, you could at least lie and say, well, they're not trying to get, just families in there that are going to have students that go to schools and are going to have a lot of travel and commuting to and from work and to and from school. It's just code for we're not going to have a negative impact on the current infrastructure that exists. That's what they're trying to say.
Right, in theory.
It's a lie. Because, realistically, like this one especially, which I think is extra funny, because everything that's right there in front of it, which is right there, there's the Regal building, and then all those apartments that are around it, all those are students. Those are targeted at UT students. And so we're literally going to build a giant 200-unit apartment complex 15 yards from a giant apartment complex for students. And think that these...
for a cat fight.
It's going to be, if they're both honest and that actually what happens, it's going to be an interesting, there's going to be an interesting border of those two properties. But that being said, a big, beautiful apartment complex that has, there's going to be some apartments in that place that have a gorgeous view.
Right.
They're going to be looking across the river at downtown, at the Basketball Hall of Fame. They're going to be looking down the river. They're going to be, sitting up there having a great view of you can probably see the stadium from there. You can't really see what's going on in it, but you can see the stadium. It's going to be a nice setup.
Yeah, it's a pretty high vantage point.
Yeah, and it's the highest point down there, I believe. So 200 units, it's going to be like 10 stories. And so that top floor is going to be pretty nice. If I'm that developer, I'm probably going to put like a rooftop restaurant bar patio thing. Anyway, I don't know. And so immediately the NIMBYs come out of the woodwork and they're freaking out about it. It got pushed back a month for its planning commission stuff, because then also their plan doesn't match with the Southside redevelopment program exactly. So they're going to need variance to do all this different stuff. Apparently there's some utilities that run underneath the parking lot that currently exist that they're going to have to move, and then there's going to be a TIF or a pilot program to help pay for them to move the utilities and stuff like that. So it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be one to watch, I'll say. I think the current administration, I think Mayor Kincannon and the current city council is probably going to want to push to try to get this through. Because the reality is it's going to be hipsters and young families that are going to end up moving into this place. But that's what's going to get Sevier Avenue out of the gutter. And they really want Sevier Avenue to be cool. Or just Southside in general to be cool.
Right.
Yeah, that's everything.
Time will tell.
I don't know. Let them build it. Figure it out. Raise taxes. get to fund the stuff. I don't know anymore, man. I don't know.
I mean, worst come to worst, it gets sold to somebody else and just turns into a regular apartment.
That's what it's going to be, period. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like, I don't, like, are they really going to, like, part of your application is, like, are you 55 plus? Can you do that as an apartment complex?
I don't know, to be honest.
I don't think you can. I don't think you could literally say, "Oh, everything's great. You have the money. You have all the parts and pieces involved." Except, well, you're too young. You're only 50. You can't live here. You know, there's a lot of stuff that apartment complex can do to, you know, deter people from living there, like no pets and no this and noise requirements and blah 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 blah. But it's like, I don't, you know, like, I don't think you can literally say you have to be this age bracket to live here. Unless it's like an assisted living that has amenities.
There's that big one down in Florida, the Villages. I think it's pretty much like a giant retirement little mini city in itself. So I don't know if that's like a giant like HOA thing where they can put more kind of regulations in that whenever you agree to buy the house, you abide by certain guidelines. I'm not really
but
sure
can an HOA? But that's the question. Can an HOA have an age bracket? Now, could they have guidelines? Sure. Like, but I don't know. Like, let's clarify. Let me clarify that. Can they have an age bracket requirement and can they have a kids requirement?
Right.
Like, not like I could say like they could say they could maybe do a number of occupants requirements. Like, if you're going to buy this unit, only 2 people can live here, which would be a roundabout way of removing kids from the equation. But if you're like a divorced, whatever, single dad or single mom or whatever, and have 1 kid, you meet the requirement of 2 people. But you're 35 with a 10-year-old.
Can be like Medicare recipients only.
Can they? But I was like, legitimately, like, can an HOA say no one between the age of X and Y are allowed to live here? So you're too young. Or you're too old to live here. Same thing with same thing with the ones that quote unquote say they're targeting UT students.
Right. Can
they literally say you have to be between 17 and 30? Can they say you have to be 17 and 30 with no kids to live in this apartment complex? Because you could be 30.
I've heard like some neighborhoods. I think I saw something on like a big neighborhood in Texas where they were trying to make it a pretty much like they were trying to make it like a partisan community, basically.
You have to.
That might have been more kind of like semi-screening at like the realtor level.
You have to check your bona fides to live here.
Yeah. Or under the guise of like, live around other like-minded individuals.
I mean, there's, that gets into some weird political spaces.
Right. So I said, I think they were able to do it just through kind of like the realty process of it, not necessarily like in order for you to buy the house, but I guess realtors, were showing houses to one group versus another group. Or
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's ballsy, I guess.
Yeah. But so that's what some buyers were looking for. They wanted to make sure.
But I'm just saying, like, okay, so I'm not a Republican, but I like, whatever. I'll put up with all the bullshit that goes on around me. I want to live in this house.
Right. I don't care if you got a gun. That's cool.
Like, one, I don't know that you could legally prove anything. Like, especially with the current definitions of parties and whatnot.
Right. Are you a real Republican or are you a rhino? I see that you voted Republican, but that's not good enough.
So I'm saying, are you a Trump Republican? Are you MAGA?
Right.
Fucking God damn it. I don't know what to do anymore. It's fucking bullshit. It's dumb. Like, what do we got to do? Like how do we figure out how to get reasonable people to run for office? That's not true. How do we get reasonable people elected to office? Because reasonable people run, they just get beat because the system is not designed to let them win.
I mean, to an extent, you kind of have to stand out a little bit to kind of get noticed. I think that's why some lean into, certain topics or whatever a little bit more. They may not be fully on board behind that, but either, their party or their spokesperson's pulling the strings to tell them.
Like, I haven't met Bo
yet. Or
yet.
They feel like they've got to kind of differentiate their views versus others just to get more notice, to get more clicks and likes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're. I don't know, but like, I don't know. I don't know. Like we know the answer to this. It's people engaging in
You'll
understanding.
get most people behind you if you're kind of boring in the middle of the road.
Well, I don't know. Like I think part of it gets into the like the true libertarianism part of it. It's like this does not need to be a government issue. Like how much of this stuff that ends up being parts of politics that shouldn't be government issues, like realistically, like not just in not in my like fully crazy libertarian sort of way, but like it does knowing how many people get trans surgeries need to be a government issue. Does how I don't know. I'm trying to think of other examples of it, but like that's just the one that we've already talked about tonight. That's like
right.
And it's like that's the thing to me. It's like, okay, first, does this need to be a government issue? Whatever it is you care about, does this need to be a government issue? Is this a personal issue? Is this a community issue? And just because it's a community issue doesn't make it a government issue. And if it is a government issue, does it need to be a political government issue, or does this need to be a government issue? Like, this is the job. Like, fix the fucking roads. That's a government issue. There's no partisanship to roads. Can you get on one or can you not? Does it work or does it not?
Have you gone down that North Shore stretch that I was talking about where they kind of like patched it up, but I swear it's worse than it used to be?
No, man. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't go west of my house anymore. Like, ever.
Yeah.
Not down North Shore. We went to some Mexican joint down there at the public shopping center like 3 or 4, maybe a month ago. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice at that time. Had dinner, though.
It's good. It's been close.
Good Mexican.
I'd say it's been a few weeks since they fixed it. Could be a little off.
I mean, go like, dude, 275. Hoo-wee. That little stretch from downtown to 640. It is a minefield. It's awful.
Did you guys tell me about people that have had to get like chips out of their windshield just from like other cars kicking up like little bits of like rock and road debris?
No, I have not said anything on that. I can imagine that.
Maybe I was reading a story about that was talking about road repairs and how 275 was bad.
But yeah, 275 is real bad. Like real bad. So I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Like, that's the thing to me is like, we got to figure out what is government, like, where does government need to be and not? That should be the first question. This is like,
Did you see a story about the former Hardin Valley student?
Yeah.
I guess this got the county in a little bit of an uproar. Now, I mentioned it before. I went there to the elementary school that I kind of messed with them once and went to like the little buzzer. It's like, yeah, I'm here. Blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, first door. Apparently, the middle school turned him away, but the elementary school let him in. High school let him in.
Yeah, I don't know.
One or both times, he pretty much just like once he got through the door, like didn't like go to the office to sign in or anything like that.
Just wandered around for a while. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. There's a lot of weird stuff that's part of it too, though. Like immediately, Homeland was involved early.
Really?
Yeah, which is its own weird thing. It's like where did Homeland come into this? Because I don't know. Like he was he was a student there apparently.
Right. I think what they called like aggravated trespassing.
And it's weird. Like it's all weird. Like again, I understand where people are kind of freaking out. It's like you got some stranger that's wandering on campus.
Right. It's like how did they do that?
And how did they get away with that? And how did the protocols hit so poorly? That being said, I wander around the schools all the time.
Because I remember like 15 years ago, you still, when at the office, when you signed in, they gave you like a sticker that you were supposed to like put on your shirt. They kind of like at least gave some kind of notice.
No, they still do. And I resent having to scan my ID.
Yeah.
I resent that. It's like, that's none of your fucking business. Like, I'm here to see my kid.
Last time I went to a school, I didn't have to do that.
I'm here to
signed a little bullshit book, which I could have like just signed whoever's name.
True. No, but anymore, like they have a little scanner and you scan your ID and then they print off a picture of like they pull your DMV picture and they put it on
okay.
the sticker, and that's what you walk around the school with. You know, and it's like, I don't know.
Some level of security.
Not really. Like, okay, so something happens, they know I was there. Does that prove anything?
Right.
They just know I was one of the many people that were there. I don't know. Like, it's a weird story. Just that it's like he's a former student there. He's not a random person, but he'd been gone long enough that like the protocol should have done what they were supposed to do. I agree with that, but at the same time, it's like, what are we doing? Like, what's like aggravated trespassing?
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it's considered kind of like a semi-secure county property.
I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. Like especially in post. Like, can somebody come into my place, my home or my place of business? We'll stay with my place of business because it's theoretically open to the public, and so is the schools. You know, and not go through the protocols because I didn't do my job, and then make them the bad guy. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think they can even get you just for being on the grounds, not even going into the school. I think it's still illegal for you to be there, unauthorized per se. You can't just, wander around in the parking lot willy-nilly. Like, well, I didn't go in the school. It's like, no, you're still on school property where you're not.
Like, okay, so like I screwed up.
If you don't have a reason.
Like last time I went to City County to do some stuff, I screwed up and I had my pocket knife in my backpack. I had my backpack with me, and they put it in a little baggie or whatever, and blah blah blah. Fine. I wasn't trying to sneak a fucking knife in. That wasn't the point. But let's say I went through the scanner and I had my knife in my backpack, and they left it in my backpack and they didn't catch it and whatever. And I go in there and it's like, is this going to be like an attempted assassination charge? Like intense part.
I think there's probably some kind of like misdemeanor for having a weapon in a federal building.
I'm saying like intent is part of the conversation. Like that is part of the.
I agree. Intent usually goes a little bit more towards like punishment. It's not necessarily. I mean, it may change a little bit of whether or not the prosecutor's office decides to file charges or go through with the case, but I think that comes more into kind of like any kind of punishment where intent is more read into.
I guess where I'm confused is like, what is aggravated trespassing?
I'm not sure.
So like trespassing is I'm on a piece of property I'm not supposed to be on. That's trespassing.
I mean, there may be some level of like, he should have known that he's not supposed to be there. He knowingly, got signed in and just, totally went around like the actual process.
Unless there's some piece of history that has not been reported on, like this kid got kicked out of school or he had violent issues while he was in school and there were some problems and like he was like, like you graduated, you hit the educational criteria for us to get you out of here. Do not come back in here.
Right.
Like unless that's part of the story that we haven't heard about yet.
No, but I mean, I'm sure if you asked your kids or like 95% of students, they know that, any kind of like random visitor is not allowed on property.
I don't know. I don't know. Like I could see a world where I would walk into Bearden High School and be like, I don't know, like not now that I have kids, but like shortly after, a couple years after I graduated, like I could see a scenario where I'd be like, I don't know, I was just around and had nothing to do. I was trying to kill an hour or two. Wanted to hop in and look around, maybe see if some teachers that I remember were still here.
Right.
I could see me doing that, not thinking like I'm doing anything wrong. Like I was a student here. I spent 4 years here.
Right.
4 very important and informative years here. I wonder what it's like now that I'm not here anymore because I have to be. I wonder what it looks like. I wonder what changes they made. They were working on that when I left. I'm curious what that looks like now. I could see that being a fairly normal mindset. At 22, 25 years old, something like that. I don't know. It seems, I don't know. Like it seems weird because like, again, he got arrested in like Alabama.
I think I did see that or something.
Yeah, he got arrested in Alabama for charges from Tennessee. And got extradited back to Tennessee to face the charges he got here. It's so weird. Like the whole thing's weird.
maybe it's a bit of a smokescreen because there was that much public outcry for like, hey, how the hell did this happen? Like we're on it. We've had terrorism charges levied against him. So
but I don't like.
we tracked him down out of state. Like you have nothing to worry about. We will protect your kids.
But I don't remember any talk about it when it happened. I just remember talking about here. Everything's been since he got arrested.
Right.
So the charges are already out there, and I don't remember hearing a single story about this.
I mean, that happens with a lot of things outside of major crimes like stabbings and murders, where you see it reported that somebody was stabbed, somebody was shot, or somebody was robbed at this location. But
I've been saying that I don't remember hearing a story
doesn't come into the ether until there's some freedom of information of or when you. That's probably what it was. Some news agency was probably looking at a court document or court docket of charges filed or a pending court case, and was like, oh wait, there's somebody that just got pulled in for this. Like, oh gosh. Yeah, because I think it did happen a month or so ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Weeks, maybe.
Knox County Schools at least didn't think it was a big deal when it happened.
Oh, really?
And then it's now a big deal since it happened. I mean, that's at least that's kind of my take on the generic of the story. Is that it's like, oh shit!
If I had a kid in the school system, I'd have a little bit of worry, especially if my kids were at one of those schools. It's kind of like, are you guys not watching who you just buzzed into the building? Can anyone just kind of walk up and then walk straight in? The one of them, apparently, he was walking around with a black backpack. So he potentially could have brought anything into the school.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree. The protocol failure is real. Don't get me wrong. But it's also weird. I don't know. I guess that's to be that's my brain goes to maybe it's the more innocent. Maybe I'm naive in it, but the more innocent of I don't know. I was a student here a couple years ago. I'm just kind of walking around because it's all the campuses are mixed and matched. I went through my whole educational career here. I just wanted to see what's up.
I mean, I could see that a tiny bit. At the same time, I would think you're not don't really have a quote unquote right to be there.
No, but you don't have the right to be there, but you don't have the obligation to know the very, very subset of specific rules on how to be there. That's kind of where I'm
sure, your previous job, you couldn't just walk into their warehouse now. Well, I used to work here. They're like, yeah, but you can't be back here, dude. What's going on?
Oh, I can, but I'm not going to get fucking charged with some criminal trespassing or aggravated trespassing. If
I wouldn't say that you would be welcome with open arms as well. It'd be suspicious. What are you doing here? Why are you walking around our warehouse?
No, I think I could.
When they go into the office,
I think I 100% could. I could walk in there and walk around and right, sure. At some point, somebody would be like, "Who the fuck are you and why are you here?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I used to work here." And they'd be like, "Okay, well, get out." And it's like, "Okay, bye."
Right.
Again, that's. I think you're right. That's a perfect example in the sense it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was kind of. I didn't mean to be like that. I was just like, when I was last here, they were working on this and whatever, and I was just kind of curious how it turned out. I happened to be hanging out in this part of town. I wouldn't think it's criminal until they tell me to leave and I say no, or I take something, or I do something that's actually criminal because I don't know. It's not my job to figure out what you're allowing me to do on your place. That's weird. I don't know. I get it. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm lost. You said you want to do an hour. We're at an hour 15. Let's get weird.
Right.
From some Midwestern place. Is that technically Midwestern? Sort of? Some people call it Midwestern. Yeah. Some people still call it part of the South.
West of the Mississippi.
They have an SEC school.
Have they always been in the SEC?
They're one of the new ads.
Let's see here. We got why one Las Vegas newspaper just stopped printing its rival. Las Vegas Review-Journal announced Friday it will no longer print its rival, the Las Vegas Sun, for the first time in decades, sharpening their legal dispute over the nation's last joint operating agreement, stemming from a 1970 law designed to preserve newspapers.
So the press, the actual press, the physical machine that does the pressing, one of the newspapers owns the press. The other one has been using the press. Okay.
It sounds like they're like co-owned.
I don't know. I mean, like, News Sentinel has, like, is it? I don't know if it's News Sentinel or not. I think it's News Sentinel owns the press, the actual press, and there's like 6 newspapers that print out of there.
Right.
And so News Sentinel has that.
Yeah, you're right.
But the ownership, the person who owns the press has a weird. If you own one of the actual journalism's parts of the pressing process, you have a weird business relationship. Makes total sense.
So it says the now rare joint operating agreement required that the Sun to be printed as a daily insert in the Review Journal, the state's largest newspaper.
Okay.
Both companies remained editorially independent with separate newsrooms and websites.
But the paper, they were distributed together too, is what that says.
Yeah, sounds what it sounds like.
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. Well, because me and you, if we wanted to set it up, we could print a thing and the News Sentinel would print it for us.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put it in the News Sentinel, but they would just print us a stack. Like, I'm pretty sure it's the same printer. It might actually not be News Sentinel. I'm not sure. But I'm like Blank Magazine and Knoxville Focus and some of these other actual print papers that float around Knoxville. It's all one printer. There's not multiple printers. But they're not inserting their pages into each other's thing. That's interesting. I kind of like the idea of that.
Yeah.
Having one quote-unquote newspaper, but you have multiple editorial places that are inserting into said. That's kind of fun. I like that.
That's one way to kind of get, quote-unquote, 2 sides of a story within the same kind of publication.
Yeah. I mean, not even that. Just get, like we're going to run stories on this. You run stories on that. We're going to run stories. Sometimes they overlap. Sometimes they don't. Whatever. Who cares?
Right.
But for $1.50 or $2, I don't know. I need to get a copy of this past Sunday's paper. Apparently, there was a story on Hoppy Holler that they didn't ask me for. Kind of mad at whoever wrote that story.
Sons of guns. Give him a talking to. Give him an earful.
I've got Allie Feinbaum on board for being a moderator at my event. So.
Oh yeah.
She's kind of a big fucking deal. Anyway, that button. Get rid again.
I mentioned one thing. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures where there was a Saharan dust storm turns a Greek sky red. Did you see any of the pictures of that?
I have not. We're going to the moon.
Crazy.
I
We're
forgot
going
we were
around
going
the
to
moon. I was trying to remember that. I'm glad we're not landing on it, but yeah, we're flying around it. I think they're supposed to be back within like the next week or so. Apparently their shitter broke overnight, like a night or 2 ago. We're able to get that fixed.
Good job. You're fucking rocket scientist. You can figure out a toilet.
We had a South African politician goes snorkeling in a giant pothole to highlight city management failures.
Love it.
Gotcha.
Just spray paint.
You're not going to fix it? I'm going to go swim in it. Look how bad it is. I can swim in the road. That's a puddle in the road. Oh, the picture, damn, it's pretty big. I mean, she's up to like mid-chest, standing in the water.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Like, the old spray paint dicks over the around the potholes. So the city has to come out and deal with it.
Right.
I like it. Whatever you got to do to get them fixed, that's where I'm at. All right, my friend, last call. I feel like we've missed so many things. Not really. I had a whole episode with the bullshit that is the pharmacy, doctor's office. Like, why can't I just buy the drugs I want to buy and get over with? Like, it's fucking stupid. $800. I spent $800. But yeah, I'll say that for another day. Last call, my friend. Anything you got that I've that you really want to make sure that we cover this week?
It's coming to mind.
Well, if you're out there and you're driving around Knoxville right now, you probably need your car washed. That's my solution. That's not my solution. That's my summation. Is right now.
I was glad to catch a rainstorm on the way here and wash off some of the pollen.
The fucking
So I
pollen.
literally just like hand washed it like 2 days prior. Then like the next day it was yellow again.
Yeah,
It's like son of a bitch.
The fucking pollen right now is out of control. But that's us. That's us. That's what we do. We are Knoxvillians.
That time of year.
It is that time of year. Get your head cold. Get your fucking sinuses all fucked up. And wash your car. Almost Human, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website. Almost Human. Go on there. April 14th, everybody. My mayoral debate. It won't be as intoxicating. Well, it might be. It depends on you. The bar will be open. You can go buy some drinks and get a little drunk. And you can yell at the candidates. I don't give a shit. I want some real answers to some real important questions. And I've got two really good moderators that are going to help me push for those answers. So we're going to pick fights and start things. So you should be there to watch what happens. Almost Human, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almost.com. Go to your favorite podcast provider. We are there. Like, text, friend, like, follow, friend, text us to your friends. Do what you can do to support the show. We appreciate you, and we will be back next week for more of what has happened in the week that was. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.